Now this build was about time. As you can see, I finally built me a workbench. Well, not only one, but two, with a foldable extension on one side, because you always need more space in the end. The workbench is super sturdy and can support even me. Both workbenches are on wheels, so you can roll them anywhere. And it has not only one or two, but three drawers that are built without the drawer slide hardware for extra savings. Do you want one too? Follow me and lass uns anfangen.
There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
I've had these 4x4s laying around for a while now. They are too short to use for any of the structures I built lately around the farm, but they will be perfect for the legs of the two workbenches I'm building. I started by figuring out the best height for me, and I made sure to add the height of the wheels so the workbench doesn't get too high in the end. Then I used my miter saw to chop the pieces to size. For the two workbenches, I need 8 legs. Instead of measuring each piece, I used the previously cut piece and traced it onto the new piece. Then I followed that line with the miter saw blade. Now I get it, not everybody has 4x4s just laying around like I did. But you can also use 2x4s to make the whole build. You just glue them together. Then I went on to cut the plywood. I purchased one piece of 3/4 inch plywood and two pieces of 1/2 inch plywood. The best would have been to only get 3/4 inch plywood, but it's so expensive and I wanted to cut costs a bit. The 3/4 inch will be for the top. And don't you hate it when the battery dies on a power tool just before you stop cutting? So annoying. Luckily, I always make sure I have charged batteries, so it was an easy fix. Here I'm cutting off a 20-inch piece of the top panel. This piece I will use later for the foldable extension part. On the second top panel, I cut off an equal piece, so both workbenches have the same length. Then I went on to cut the 2x4s that I used to connect the table legs to build a table base. Oh, and I can wait to have those workbenches. Once I build a better table for the miter saw, I can easily roll the miter saw in between the two workbenches and use them to support the lumber I cut. So no more awkward holding position or falling lumber. I assembled the workbench by using pocket holes. So let's get them drilled. Really not my favorite thing to do. The cracked pocket hole jig that I have is super old, and I did see that it came out with a new version. I don't think it's too expensive, I will have to look into it, because this model is a little bit bothersome, and I'm really due for an upgrade. Once all the pieces for the base were cut, I started assembling. I always like to stick the screws into the pocket holes beforehand. Then I screwed everything together. I started by connecting the sides with the legs of the base. I needed 4 of those, 2 legs for each table. Once I had those pieces screwed together, I figured it would be easier to attach the roller legs now, before the whole base is fully assembled. The roller wheels are actually called casters, and I got them from Amazon. Like always, check out the link in the description below. I made sure to not center the rollers, but rather move them a bit to the side. That will be the outside part of the leg, since I don't want the stopper to be blocked by the 4x4. I need it to be easily accessible, so I can easily lock the wheel in place. I attached the wheels with the supplied screws. Then I went ahead and assembled the rest of the base. Here I noticed that I had forgotten to add the pocket holes to the apron pieces that will hold the top of the table. I will secure the top with pocket holes from the bottom, so of course I need pre-drilled holes. But it was simple enough to add them now. And here's the assembled base. Now I wanted to add some more pieces to the center of it to make it more sturdy. After all, it's a workbench and it must hold some weight. Arg! Arnold power! Yeah! Both workbenches will have a second level underneath the top. I'm using the 1/2 inch plywood for that, and it will notch out the area that a 4x4 will slide in. Here I'm using my speed square to help me cut a straight line for those notches I've talked about. I'm going to ease up just to the line where the marks cross, and then use my handsaw to cut off the little parts that the circular saw won't cut. I then repeated the same steps with the other piece for the second workbench. Before sliding in the second level, I attached the top by using screws from the bottom. And the bottom piece fits perfectly. The bench just wobbles because it's uneven sitting on the grass. It's actually level. The next step was to assemble the drawers for the second bench. I will build them without using drawer slide hardware. To close and cover up the drawers, I'm using pieces of lumber to build somewhat of a box around it. And then I attach 2 pieces in the middle to divide the space into 3. Again, everything is attached by using pocket screws. And now let's get to building the drawer. I built them as simple as possible. No dados, no slide-ins, no grooves, just a simple box with butt joints held together with pocket screws. Pocket screws are very well known for that last minute slide away. To avoid this, I hold the pieces together with some clamps. And box number 1 is done, 2 more to go. Once I had all the boxes assembled, I placed them on a piece of plywood that was just a bit wider than the box itself. This lip will be something like the slide hardware. It will be placed between 2 pieces of plywood, like slides, but more to this later. For now, I traced the box onto the pieces of plywood to make sure, first of all, it's centered, and second, those markers will help me place the nails into the correct position, since nobody likes nails that are coming out from the sides. As long as you stay within those lines, there will be no misfired nails protruding. But let's see if that concept really comes true. Yes, and just perfect, no misfired nails. The perfect drawer. I repeated those steps for the other 2 drawers. And now let's work on this whole sliding mechanism. First, I cut pieces of plywood in thin strips. Each drawer needs 2 of those, so I cut 6 in total. Using wood glue and nails, I attach those strips to the bottom where the drawer will sit. The drawer will sit on top of this and slide back and forth. To hold the drawer in place, I used the second piece of plywood that I will attach just above the first one. I used a piece of lumber to get equal spacing on both sides. This piece is slightly taller than the bottom lip of the drawer, so I can slide the drawer in and out and have some room for any expansions and easily move it back and forth without too much friction. And you see how simple those drawers move back and forth? Who needs expensive hardware? And it was about here that I got some concerns that I did not add this piece before building the drawers. And my fear became true. It does not fit anymore. So I had to use my circular saw and cut off a little bit of the sides. And of course, it still doesn't fit. So I cut off a few more millimeters and then used the hammer to guide in that piece. As gentle as a hammer can be. And finally, I got it in. Whew! I cut some more pieces of plywood for drawer fronts. And then I attached the hardware. If you do not want to spend money on that hardware, you can just use pieces of lumber that you attach in the front or cut in little grooves. But again, I got them from Amazon and they weren't too expensive. And they work perfectly. As a last step, I attached the hardware for the foldable table extension. Again, I got it from Amazon. Is there anything I don't get off Amazon? Are you just as Amazon addicted as I am? If I can get it on Amazon, I will order it from Amazon, as long as it is a good price. And that worked out well. And now we are fertig. Wow, what a build! I can't believe I finally have two workbenches. And not just two workbenches. One has an expansion and the other one has drawers. What else can you ask for? Because of the casters, I can roll them anywhere. And the drawers give me some more much needed storage. I will add some finish to the top to make it look better and make it last longer. What do you think about the build? Do you like it? Please leave a comment below. Also, if you have not done so, please subscribe to my channel. Most importantly, press the bell button to get notified of new videos. If you can, please join my Patreon. This helps me continue make videos on YouTube. Links and more details are in the description below. Just click on the My Socials link. I appreciate all the support. And thank you so much for watching. See you next Friday. Tschüss!